Hello, hello, and welcome today to the beautiful Be the CEO of Your Life live show here. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. This is a special show for busy, ambitious entrepreneurs and people actually who really are looking for more time in their life and to make things more easy. So it's about tips that we're sharing you, how to get more balance, but also how to have more fun. And today I am delighted to have a very special guest, Aminah.
Got
Yes.
it. You got it. Yay! I don't have balloons. I need balloons.
Oh, welcome, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you
Thank
here.
thank you.
Um, Amna, can you please introduce yourself to the people so that everybody knows who you are?
Great, thanks. So I come under many titles: public speaker, coach, kick you in the pants, do it right person. You promised I had to be funny. And I have a psychic ability. I am an empath, but I really talk to nature and plants and animals. Though that's my thing. It's been since I was a little kid. I always seem to find. I grew up in a desert in Southern California, and so horny toads were a thing. I love to take them home. They're very unique things, but I didn't know how to feed them, so I had to keep letting them go. I don't know how to catch bugs. I'm not really good at that. So it's been a really amazing journey because it's only been 6 years that I've been public.
Oh, wow. Okay. And that's what we're going to talk about today, right? And one of the things, and I loved how you described that, is how to live an active, healthy, and balanced life. And then most people will not immediately think about what you mean by this,
Mhm.
right? Most people think more about, okay, I'm drinking my water, I'm drinking my green juice. So what else? Can you tell, and this is also what you do for your clients, but can you tell how you view that people can have a more active, healthy, and balanced life?
Absolutely. It's going to be essential through every day. It doesn't matter if we're in a pandemic or we're not, or you have a 90-hour a week job. Believe it or not, people do. And what you're sacrificing in the chase for the mighty buck is your long-term and short-term quality of life. You
Mhm.
have to find what I have learned, especially now. I have an injury to my hands, and if you've lost the use of your hands, I recommend don't. But there is a new chain that I'm having to find, and this is what I'm saying. You're all going to have to find. How do you get out of your own way? We
Mhm.
are our worst critic. We are our worst person to say, hey, self, should I take a break? Oh, no, power through. No, the quality of your work goes down with the quantity of sleep and or socialization. I think, I don't know if I'm alone in this, that Zoom and all the vigil stuff we're doing, we have connected so much better universally worldwide. I have been able to help more people farther away. Now, I only need a phone call. I don't
Mhm.
need you to be in my presence. But look at all the good. Look at all the good we've done. We're making connections far and wide. And who can give those up? This is different, but it is still a personal connection if you allow it to be. But look at what your talents are, grow with those, get around people that move you forward only.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. And you know, tell me, how do you help your clients?
The biggest issue usually is behavior, and it's usually the human's behavior that's the problem. Okay, I try to be gentle, but I always tell everybody, but I will be honest, because you didn't come to me for me to hold your hand and say, there, it's all the pet's fault, blah 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 blah. No, but I'm incredibly creative. I hope I'm very much outside the box as far as I'm not going to sit. So I'm a trained trainer. I went to school, got training. I went to be certified and worked in a vet clinic. So I know enough rudimentary, all of this, having worked in these fields, to say, okay, time to go see a vet, time to go see a trainer, time to, because there is a time to hire a professional and that type of stuff. And I'm going to give you what the pet's saying, what they're doing, why, how come. If I could ask pet owners one thing, talk to your pets. Talk to your pets. Yes, Bob, come here. Let's go here. Let's go. I used to tell my cat when I was little, all the stories about the day, and the flowers are growing and blah, 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 blah. And the cat would just sleep through the whole thing. But what I'm trying to encourage you is they hear the timbre of your voice. They hear what it feels like. Animals are very much about the sensory, about their, look, have you seen their paws and seen their whiskers?
Yeah.
I'll have to fess up. When I was 4, I cut the cat's whiskers off.
No.
They were tickling my face. I didn't like it, but I didn't know what they were for. So we all make mistakes. Because that's how they get through the doors and the little holes, is to know where. He just sat there and let me, his name was Socks. He had little white socks on his feet. And let me clip all his whiskers. My mom came in later and said, "What happened to the cat?" "Oh, it's just tickling my face." We all make mistakes, but I'm here to help that conversation and have a neutral voice. So I can get both sides of the party. But the more you talk to your pets, the more I hear, because they're used to talking to people and that type of stuff. But I also can do it in pictures and show them what we're looking for. They don't have to be alive. They don't have to be in my presence. That's why it works from anywhere in the world, because it's a spiritual connection. It's an emotional connection, especially with the human.
I hear you. So when you're saying you're bridging worlds, it's basically between the pet and the pet owner, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in your experience, and you also have some research to back this up, that it's really a pet that brings you an active, healthy, and balanced life. It's
my gosh, yes.
A difference. Yeah.
And look what we did, as we talked before the show. The shelters are just emptied at the middle and beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Sadly, what we all knew would happen is they're now full again, because pets are still considered disposable.
Yeah.
Sadly, some people think their children are too. So, this is a tragedy, because these animals loved you and bonded with you and it depended on you. And then you said, "Oh, well, I'm going back to work. To heck with you." Now, would I rather see them in the shelter than dumped on the street? Well, yeah, but are those my choices?
No.
So it's a commitment for a lifetime.
Yeah.
And yes, tragedies do happen and exceptions do happen and shelters do exist. But please know that you are taking on a life for their lifetime. If you're older or less mobile, then get an older pet that doesn't need as much time or walking. Don't get one that needs a lot of grooming if you don't have a lot of money.
No, I'm thinking about what you're saying. We had a pet, a puppy last year, and it happened to be Corona, which wasn't our initial plan. We had an English bulldog which moved with us to South Africa. He was more, I always called, I joke that it was the baby with hair, so to say.
Not much at that, if that was a French bulldog.
It was a bit of an ugly baby,
Yeah, exactly. It always looks like need dentures better or growling at you.
But he was definitely, and he became 14, which was really unheard of, especially for that breed. But then after South Africa, we moved to London and we never stayed in one place. So as much as we wanted a new pet, we knew we can't do it. It needs to be, there needs to be room.
Some continuity to their life, just like your own children and yourself.
Yeah.
If your life is in an uproar, how do you expect a pet to calm that down? No. And it is the same problem when people have children thinking this is the answer. I'm going to be balanced, I'm going to be loved because I'm going to have a child. I'm thinking, yeah, you've not met children, have you?
Or when people think, oh, our marriage is almost collapsing, let's have a child, and then it will bring us together. And I go like, oh, really?
No, that's not how that works. You want the biggest challenge of your life? Get a really big hairy dog or a baby.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But I mean, it wasn't the main reason why we wanted a dog, but I can see how much positively it has influenced my life. And we are three of us together, well, four now. But we walk more, we chat more, we play more because
Right.
he likes to play. And it's so funny because my daughter is an only child. I already told you earlier, but now she's like, I finally have my annoying little brother because that's very true.
Very true.
They really play like
Yeah.
siblings, so to say.
Exactly.
And I know it's so many things. So it's definitely enriching your life. It's more comfortable company. You walk more, but you also see more of the neighborhoods.
Yeah. You get
And
to know your neighbors,
yeah,
especially if you don't pick up the poop. You know,
well, but
I mean, you're going to remember it more. Sorry, this is me. I always
yeah, but
use with laughter. But you know what? Your daughter, right? Your daughter is learning from her brother how to care for another breathing entity that matters. That life matters. And it with the type of dog you've got, it's just that is just joy all the time, bouncing. Oh, you're here. Oh, you're gone. Oh, you're here. And then he'll lay down and sleep, and then he'll get up and say, oh, what are we doing now? I mean, who doesn't want that every time, to be wanted and that type of stuff? But you have to go in knowing what you're getting, what your responsibility. If you're a first time pet owner, please do your research and not just the breed, care, feeding, talk to a vet, read their pages. Some people have tons of stuff. Go to a million YouTube videos. There's a million out there.
yeah, true.
And you can learn so much. If you have a friend that has a dog or a cat, whatever you're looking to adopt, go and ask to borrow it. If you're on those and they trust you. If they don't trust you, you might want to rethink you getting a pet because there's a reason they don't want you to have that. Now, cats are different. They will warm up to you in time. So right now, one of my daughters is in Spain, and she's been there the whole time because she can't come home. So we have her cat. So this is going on 2 years because she left prior to pandemic. And her cat was very aloof, and her cat's known me since the day they adopted. So this is 7 years later. And even then she comes back and visits us and she's like, it's a cat. She's like, why do I care about you? But you know what? Today she's loving, she's huggable, she's with us, she's balanced because she's like, hey, you pet really, really great. And I really like this. And and I talk to her all the time. And of course my daughter did too, but it takes time. It takes time. Give the animals a time to bond. But again, don't take on a responsibility that you think you can just take it back to the shelter, which is what we're going through now. It's just a huge tragedy for the shelters.
Yeah. Okay, we've got from Greg.
Yes, Greg, you are so right. Adopting the wrong pets is paramount 101 of, I'm going to get a German Shepherd, but I sit around all day on a computer. Well, that's not going to work. If you're wanting to see him that German Shepherd to get you outside walking and running, well, unless you teach him how to leash himself and drag you out the door, there's got to be a little bit of a 50-50 deal.
Yeah.
And if you are a runner or you need to be a runner, start out a little smaller. The older dogs need love too.
Yeah.
If you haven't had a pet, try an older pet, try a handicap pet, try an animal that might not otherwise get adopted, and you break your teeth. Not literally, please. Don't try your teeth on the animals. They really don't work. Have you seen their fangs compared to ours? But there is a way to do it. But if you take on a kitten, a puppy, you've got 10, 15 years of a commitment. And if you can't make that commitment, please don't. There are so many older pets that need homes. Yeah. And can be there for 5 or 7 years, and you can break, in on those animals. You have to be patient. Cats are a whole different thing than chickens, than dogs, than which breed you're getting. So I talk a lot. If somebody calls me and they tell me what kind of breed they have, I'm going to really, really zone in on, okay, this is what this breed does. Mm-hmm. This is what and a dog is a pack animal. they want the whole family.
Yes.
You know, they want this. See, you know this. They want that. Yeah, everybody here, everybody close, because the pack is where they find security and safety, and that's how it's done in the wild. And there's a pack leader, alpha, omega, you know, and you never, ever, ever let the dog be alpha. It's really a mess. It's really a mess that the dog's running the house, and everybody's miserable. Everybody's miserable, and they're like, "How did this happen?" Let me explain. And then giving those people the strength to say, no, you have a right to stand up and say, no, this is what has to happen. Cats live alone except for breeding and that type of stuff. So you still have to say, nah, don't get on the counters. Have you seen where that cat's been? A litter box lately?
Get on the counters, please say that.
Yeah, it's just like, what? One of my clients, her son was struggling with autism and allergies, and her husband, and the cat had a rash. And I said, okay, you got something in your house that everybody's in contact with, so you need to wipe it all down. Counters, edges, shelves, everything. And they had a miraculous changeover. In 30 days, she got everything cleaned down. In a weekend, her husband and she just went down. Everybody was feeling better. What it was, well, we don't know. There's just too many things to test. So let's go to wash it all down instead of test to see what it was.
Yeah.
And I said, and then remove the chemicals out of your life as much as you can, because your pets need it too. Pets will lick their paws. You're putting pine sol down on the floor. Well, you basically poisoning your cat. Or your dog.
So if people want a pet or they have trouble with their pets, that's when they come to you. That's when you help them.
Not if they want a pet. If they want a pet, I have helped with adoptions. I'm really big on that. Of course, family members drag me out to the adoption places. And, you know, if you really want to pay me to come out, I will. But there's something to know about who you are, what you're looking for. If this is your first pet, I don't recommend necessarily that you go with your gut feeling, but don't not listen. Don't not listen to, hey, that one really speaks to me.
Yeah.
But why? Oh, because it's pretty. Well, that's like choosing a husband because he's pretty. I was like, maybe we need that. It doesn't last, I promise. You have to quantify it how people understand. Okay. So would you choose a husband that way? No. Well, why were you going to spend 10 years with that cat?
Yeah.
So think about what you're doing. There are lots and lots of trainers. There's, again, a lot of YouTube videos out where they talk about all this tough stuff. And we all support each other tremendously, because you'll find the person that speaks your language in the voice you can hear. If it's not me, it'll be somebody else. I just want to encourage you to just go get help. Information, study up. Don't just make a, half decision. Now, if the cat walks in your house and he's a stray, well, then the cat just chose you and you get to decide what happens. But cats will do that, especially mommies. When they're about ready to give birth, they will find a place they feel safe. And if it's your house or under your house or something like that, the best thing you can do is, of course, support her and then get her fixed as soon as, babies are weaned. So that's the problem. We have too many animals and not enough people vaccinating and spay and neutering. It is absolutely vital. We just don't need more babies. There's not enough homes. Ask any shelter.
Yeah, I hear you. But isn't there, I'm just voicing, right? Isn't there a risk when you adopt from a shelter that you don't know where they came from and they might have been mistreated, so they don't respond well to you?
I always give an honest answer. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Is it possible? Yes, everything's possible. But in that, if you went to, let me figure out a good scenario. So let's say we're in college and you're going to school and you're going to classes every day and you see this cute guy and all this kind of stuff and you guys decide to date, but he decides to drink excessively and then slap you. But that was 6 months later. How is that any different than getting a cat that you didn't know the background until you got to know it. And yes, you're adopting it, and it's like being marrying this guy and then figuring all of that out, which people do. But would you rather not have the experience and learn and love and get help for both of you? And a cat is a whole different experience than a husband or a wife. But the same thing is, you're going to take a chance. You're going to take a chance on, spend time. The shelters give you time to spend in a room, get to know them, look at their personality. If you want, there's a bunch of trainers out there that would be glad to help you. And, or people like me who will say, okay, tell me about the cat. Tell me about this. What does it feel like? What was it like when you were? And then we'll read the cat, we'll read you and say, yeah, I think this is going to be a good fit. Is it going to be work? Probably, because every new relationship that matters takes work. And I don't care if that's your child, because, you know, us moms, after we give birth, we're a little tired. But we get up that first night because our kid is hungry, or poopy, or that kind of stuff. Every good relationship takes work. And the best ones are some of the harder ones that you really went through trials and errors. And I don't know about anybody else, but I know when my husband and I were first married, we starved. we starved. We lived in really trashy, terrible places. So they converted one of our closets into a shower and wondered why the neighbor downstairs started complaining that the roof was wet. We didn't do that. The landlord did. So everybody goes through a tough time. If you're not up for the work, don't do it. Right. Because the quality of your life and that animal's life does matter.
Yeah. No, for us, it has been a reason why we've been without a pet for 5 years, I think, because it's not just unfair. Well, basically, it's unfair to the pet, in my view, and it's not what you want to put the animal through.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And know what to get. Don't get the wrong pet. Meaning, maybe a cat or dog is what you think you need. And maybe it's a rat or a guinea pig or a bunny or something else. But dogs specifically come in every shape and size.
Yeah.
Literally every shape and size. Do your homework. As my kids will say, Google it, Mom. Google it.
It's very true. My daughter really loves bunnies. You know, she adores bunnies. And naturally, because she adores them, she asked for a bunny. But I did some research and I said, well, you know, as far as I can see, it's not that easy to keep them. And also, to be fair, I had a bad bunny experience.
Oh no, there's the truth. The truth has been revealed. The terror bunny. No bugs for you. No bugs bunnies.
I saw these horrible stories about, you know, I can't even go into it, but it was really, they were in a lot of pain because they weren't looked after properly. And I read these stories and I thought, wow, I've never heard this. And then it happened in my family where the bunny was really suffering. And even though they loved the animal, they clearly couldn't look after it properly. So for me, there was a clear no-go, because I would not want that on my conscience.
Right.
You know, to treat the animal that bad. And also they're not alone, how do you call it? They're not supposed to be alone, they're supposed to be together.
They should, but they can with the right. So my kids all had bunnies. I had one young. 4-H is a great program with animals and learning to publicly speak and all that type of stuff. So my experience raising rabbits since I was a very small child. They're very, very simple. But again, I'm pretty devoted to it, and I come from a family that put us in that experience.
Yeah.
My kids had bunnies. What you have to do is clean the cage, clean the water, clean the cage, and make sure that their nails are clipped. And that's really it. Even if you didn't ever take it out or pet it or anything like that, if you kept it clean, and that means the pellets, they poop in little round pellets, as you know, are on the bottom, and they're not standing in them. They have to be on a cage, but what we did is we got an X pin like you do for a puppy or a dog or something, and we let them run around on the grass. but supervised, because, you know, hawks do come by and big birds of prey, like, whoa, look, free lunch. And they will pick it up, especially if it's a small bunny. What I suggest is, if you do change your mind, you know, because you know how bad it can get. So you have to, every 4 to 6 weeks, depending on, you know, your rabbit, the urine on the rabbit, the reason why they can't be on a zero ground is very acidic. It will literally burn the fur right off their butt. It is really bad. So it's so high in acid that you need that drop. And then the pellets drop down. You pull out the tray, you clean it, you put newspaper in. If anybody has papers anymore, I don't know if anybody has papers anymore. That might be a problem. So you put newspapers. Guess what? It keeps your house from smelling. It keeps your child engaged in, this is a job, this is a life, and it matters. It teaches children. I always recommend they get a rat, a bunny, birds, not so much. They're whole different kind of work. But any of those, rats are highly intelligent and very affectionate. They're very affectionate. And mice are too micey. That's not a word. You know, they're gone. They're everywhere. You want to chase that around your house? No, not really. But a rat is highly intelligent, very interactive. Guinea pigs also. They don't, none of these need a lot of care, except for clean cages and clean water and food. If you can clean the cage and do water and food, this is a wonderful child's learning about, guess what? Life matters. Because goldfish are lovely, but they don't really talk and hug and sit on your lap. I don't want to take up all our time, but I have to tell you my Stanley thing. We had a guinea pig, and we went to the Humane Society to get a cat or a bunny for my daughter, because her bunny had died. And the whole time, this guinea pig is behind us, and he's just yapping at me like crazy. And it's yapping. Get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here. And I'm thinking, who the heck is talking to me? So I'm looking at all the cages, and I see him finally. And so my girls are picking their bunny. They're talking to the person. They say, okay, let's get this bunny. And I said, oh, and by the way, could we take the guinea pig? And my girls just dead stop. And they said, Mom's getting another animal. They didn't say anything. They're just like, oh, this is cool. Don't jinx it. So we bring him home. He's tricolored, white, brown, black, and everything. So we would put him on the cat tree and let him look out the window and all that kind of stuff. So we had his cage in the family room. So that's where the girls and I watch TV. So, you know, when you get to a movie and it's the high, everybody's, what's going to happen? Somebody's going to jump off a cliff, or a little, I don't know, because we were watching a lot of Disney at that point. And so the room would get really tense, and Stanley would start to scream. You've never heard a guinea pig scream so much in your life. And we'd all start yelling, Stanley, shut up! Because he ruined the moment of the movie. And the problem was, he didn't like the tension that we were creating. And it got to the point where we're yelling and laughing and yelling and laughing, because he did it every single movie that we all got really intensely into. And he was amazing. He was an amazing guinea pig. But those are the relationships that, if you're open to, you can garner. But again, they need clean cages, clean food and water, vet care on a regular basis if need be, and their nails clipped once in a while. Yeah. If you have a hard surface, they can wear them down on their own. Where cats scratch theirs, these animals would have worn them down walking around outside.
Yeah, I hear you. So if anybody wants to learn more about what you offer, need your services, or want any, you've got a lot of information on your website. bridgingworlds.us is where they can find you, where they can get in contact with you, where they can read all amazing stories with you. And before we close it, because we've been chatting, I had so much fun, but I keep it to 30 minutes. So before we close, is there anything that you still want to add, or I forgot to ask? What's the final thing you want to share, maybe?
We share this world with so much. Bugs, beetles, animals, everything in between. If we don't learn to live together, we will die. If we don't learn to live together, we will die. So and know that we each need resources. We each need to have water, clean water, and trees and plants. None of us will make this world. None of us will live healthy and happy and balanced. Why I'm so adamant that, yeah, I would love to see everybody get a pet, but is it right for everybody? No, no, nothing's right for everybody. I suck as an artist. Nobody wants me painting. Okay. But I know animals and plants and trees. So I stay where my gifts are. Please give us all a chance and let's do it better. Pollution, trash, recycle, reusable stuff. And if you can't have a pet, there's not anything wrong with going and petting pets at the shelter or donating your time or going to pick up trash that are choking our world and the waterways. Do what you can within your own means and your own way, because all of it matters. Even if you're walking down the sidewalk and there's a wrapper on the floor and you pick it up and put it in the trash, that's one more thing that's not in our waterways, not choking our world. It all matters. So thank you for everybody who does that.
I love that. Well, I think this is an amazing closing. So we're not gonna add anything to it. We're gonna end with this beautiful statement. Please make sure to keep it a living space for all of us, all of us.
All of
Thank
us.
you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. I really enjoyed it. And for
Absolutely.
everyone who was watching, thank you. If you're watching in the replay and you have any queries, please leave them. We'll come back to them. And otherwise, I will see you tomorrow, same place. Thank you so much. Goodbye.